Hello again. Ripley says hi, and he says bye. I actually filmed this video yesterday, and I had to completely refilm it because I'm not quite used to styling my hair yet, so I literally looked like I was about to ask you to speak to the manager. So here's take two. I just wanted to come here today and talk to you all about my most anticipated book covers of 2021. I decided to focus on the covers rather than actual books per se because one, there's already so many 2021 release videos, and two, as I've mentioned before, I am studying graphic design, so I just thought it'd be a more interesting approach. I've got 12 books for you today that I picked out literally just by looking through a list of 2021 releases and picking out the best covers. And let me just go ahead and get this out of the way by saying this is very much subjective. These are all my personal opinions. You might not like some of these, that's okay. And there might be some books that you thought should have made the list that either I didn't agree, or two, I just didn't see it. So if you think there's something that should have been on the list, comment down below because I would love to take a look. Yeah, so 12 books, and they're not in any particular order. However, the last three are like my top three, and the rest are just kind of random. The first book we're going to talk about today is The Ones We're Meant to Find. I'm putting this one first because I feel like most people who clicked on this video were anticipating that this was going to be on the list because everyone is talking about how stunning this cover is, and for good reason. And this easily could have made the #1 spot, but again, I just figured it wouldn't be that exciting since it's so expected. Everything about this cover is doing it for me. This illustration is stunning. I just love the illustrative style, and not only that, it just kind of looks like a painting in general, and everything about it, like the colors are just so soft and calming. Also, I think the typography on it is working so well. That kind of almost handwritten script just really flows nicely with the waves, and yes, I love it. So The Ones We're Meant to Find has been described as We Were Liars meets sci-fi. I am so excited about that. The Ones We're Meant to Find follows C, who wakes up on a remote island with no memories. She doesn't know how she got there, except the only thing she knows is that she has a sister and she needs to find her. So yeah, if not for the cover alone, that plot sounds so good. Yeah, it'll be published in May. Next up, I chose The Girls I've Been Before. This cover immediately jumped out to me with that bold red, and I also love this illustration style, which is quite different from the previous cover. This one is very much just kind of flat colors, but it's working really well, and I think it's interesting the elements they chose to display that looks like a wig and just the main character's hand. It draws you in. And this one, more so than the last cover, also has that kind of handwritten script, and I think it just looks so cool. The Girls I've Been Before is about Nora, who is the daughter of a con artist, and she somehow gets wrapped up in a bank heist. She's being held hostage, and I think she kind of uses her con artist past to like dunk on these robbers, I guess. I'm predicting like badass female main character, interesting drama, and I'm just really excited to read about a bank heist. Don't think I've read that before. The next cover I picked out was House of Hollow. This is another one with a really cool illustration. I just think the eyes on it really draw you in because there's like such intense emotion behind it. And not only that, I think the like floral elements are just kind of, I don't know, mysterious, you could say. Anything with like a white border or just any kind of border, I just think it makes it look so nice, and it's definitely working here. And something interesting I noticed is that House of Hollow, each word in the title has a different typeface, which I think is such an interesting decision. I'm like, why did the designer do that? What could this mean? And am I reaching? Maybe, probably, yes. But I think it might have something to do with the plot. So House of Hollow follows these three sisters who have some kind of mysterious past that they don't remember. All they know is that they have this crescent moon scar on their throats, and pretty much their whole lives they've just been regarded as weird or not fitting in, and they can't really figure out why, I guess. Maybe because they don't remember. And then one of the three sisters goes missing. So I think the whole novel is kind of unraveling their past and seeing how that played into her sister's disappearance. It's just all so mysterious, and it's already drawing me in to be like, yo, what happened? Like, I want to know. So what I was saying about the three different typefaces on the cover, I think possibly it could be maybe a representation of the three different sisters. That's just a theory with literally no base behind it, but I don't know. I just think it's an interesting choice that it couldn't have been random, you know, like there has to be a reason. For the next cover, I chose the Gilded Ones. And this is actually a bonus because I also really love the German edition of this book. Yeah, they're both pretty different, but I think they have a lot of things working for them. The Gilded Ones, another stunning illustration. I think what is really working for it is that the main character on the front is so warm and she's covered in gold, and that's kind of contrasted with that blue background. Then completely different vibe. The German cover has a dark background, like black and red, but it still has those gold elements that are making it pop. And I think they're just both super cool. The Gilded Ones follows 16-year-old Decca, who is about to participate in a blood ceremony to see whether or not she can be accepted into this village. So in this world, people either have red pure blood or they have blood with gold in it, which means you're not pure blood, and I think that they have special powers. So upon the blood ceremony, we find out that Decca does have gold in her blood, so she is an outcast. However, someone approaches Decca and asks if she would want to join their sort of gold blood army. This one is super interesting to me because it sounds a lot like Red Queen, which I don't know if I'm like reaching with that because it's been so long since I read Red Queen, but if I remember correctly, it's like they either had the red blood or the silver blood, and I think, is it the silver blood that has the powers and maybe red doesn't, and that's kind of like the hierarchy of their society as well. I don't know. I think I would like to compare them. However, I really have no desire to reread Red Queen because I really didn't enjoy it that much. If someone else wants to do that, The Gilded Ones comes out in February. This next cover is This Close to Okay. So I think a lot of people have probably seen this one already as well because I believe it was in the Book of the Month box. So sorry if you've seen this already, but I still thought it was worth talking about because this cover is just so beautiful. On it we see an illustration of two figures. These are our main characters, Tally and Emmett, and what I think is so interesting about this is that they are just covered in these warm colors. It makes you feel like very calm and relaxed when you look at them, but also the whole cover overall. There's this blue element that's running through the background. Yes, I think that was very much intentional, not only for contrast, but maybe a little something to do with the plot. This Close to Okay follows therapist Tally, who one night on her drive home from work sees a man, Emmett, standing on a bridge about to take his own life. And so she pulls over and she talks him down, and they end up, I think, going to get coffee, and they just kind of talk, and they form this really close relationship. And I think this is gonna be a very heart-wrenching or just touching story in general. Going back to that blue element on the cover that I was talking about, I think maybe the intention behind this was overall it's very warm and there's going to be some positives with them, the relationship, that they form together. However, this is a novel that is based around suicide, so that blue element is definitely, or not definitely, but what I'm assuming is the kind of sad or troubles that are mixed in with their relationship, and it's just kind of very much like the thing that ties them together, or that's what I'm assuming. If you didn't already get this in your book of the month box, this Close to Okay comes out in February. For the next book, I chose Pieces. Pieces like pieces, not pieces. This cover stuck out to me because, one, I'm just a really big fan of like collage kind of covers, and in general this is a collage that's working very well, and it has a lot of really interesting elements on it. This animal we see, and the hands, the train, the leaf. It's just very like weirdly specific pictures that you're like, why are all those things together? Like, what does this mean? I think it's a really smart decision that it's on the black background, because it just kind of makes all those elements pop out. And I think having black rather than white or something makes it a little bit more mysterious. And this is a very mysterious book. When I read this plot, I was so intrigued. This book is 100% up my alley. Pieces follows Otto and Xavier, a newly formed couple, or it says they just declared their love for each other. And upon that, one of their aunts gifts them with a train ticket. They take off to go on this train trip, and it says they pack their mongoose with them. So that explains why the mongoose is on the cover. So they arrive at this train. It's called the Lucky Day, and getting on it, it just seems like, you know, a train trip. I don't even know where they're going, but they're on a train. And I think they kind of quickly realize that something's a little bit off about this train. For one, they think they're the only passengers on it, until later this mysterious woman shows up. And then things just kind of get, maybe not weird, but interesting. Like, they'll go to breakfast each morning and it'll be like specifically their favorite breakfast foods. And it says a lot of things from their past start coming up in this train. I don't know, it's just very mysterious. It sounds like one of those books where you're like, is this really happening? Or is this some kind of like, what is even the word to describe that? Like, you don't know what's true, or if this is reality, or if it's being distorted by one of the narrators. And I think it's very intentional that this is kind of a train journey, and they're this new couple, they're revisiting things from their past. So it's almost Gothic-esque in that the train is probably very much its own character, kind of like how in Gothic novels, like the house is always like a plot point, or like essentially a character in the novel. I think that's what this train will be, which is perfect for me because I love Gothic novels. I don't actually know that this is Gothic, but it definitely has that kind of element. Very excited for this one, and it comes out in April. This cover is from Every Single Lie. This is a young adult, almost crime novel, or I don't know, I guess you could say like contemporary thriller. What I really like about this cover is that illustration style. It's very, I don't know how you really describe it. It's kind of, it is a popular style right now. Like, I see a lot of illustrations that look like this on Instagram and such, but I think that on top of the pink and blue are really nice. I have a thing for like words on art pieces, in this case book cover, like not just the title but the way the words are working in the background. And this book has to do with bullying and also like just kind of rumors in general. So I think that was a really nice way to show kind of people talking behind her back, quite literally. This plot is kind of crazy. Every Single Lie follows our main character, Beckett, who is dealing with bullying already, and on top of that, she thinks her boyfriend is maybe lying to her, keeping things from her, maybe cheating on her, and all of that kind of escalates when she finds a dead baby in her boyfriend's gym bag in the locker room. Oh, goddamn! I don't even know what to say about that. It just seems kind of like maybe something that would be a plot point in like Riverdale. I'm definitely not like running to pick this up because I think it could go one of two ways. It's either gonna be really bad or really good. Every Single Lie comes out in January, so if you pick this up, please let me know if it's how it is. Next up, I chose Chlorine Sky. I think what really draws me in is that kind of orange and purple sunset color look, and just like the ripple in the waters is very beautiful. I don't actually know much about this novel, but I know it is written in verse, and it follows a girl who's dealing with the aftermath of having a fallout with her best friend and learning to rediscover who she is as like an individual person rather than someone's best friend. Very much a coming of age novel and discovering who she is. And I think that will be so beautiful written in verse. This is another one that comes out in January, so if you want to pick it up, it'll be here pretty soon. This next cover is so fun. We have Ace of Spades. Another really cool illustration, and I think it's so cool that they kind of played into that card thing with the Ace of Spades. Notice the white border. Yes. The only thing that makes the border better is when things are like breaking the border, and both the figures on the cover are, and yes. It says that this story is Gossip Girl meets Get Out. What? Two things that I never thought would go together, you know? Ace of Spades is set at this elite private school, and it follows Chiamaka and Devin, who are academic rivals. Hello. We got a little academic rivals to lovers situation maybe. So they're like head-to-head fighting to be valedictorian, and then they both start getting these anonymous text messages from someone called Aces. These texts are like revealing their secrets, things they don't want to get out. It says it becomes dangerous, and it's a heart-pounding suspense. Very much Gossip Girl, but also I'm getting Pretty Little Liars vibes. Yeah, I will definitely be picking this one up. It comes out in June. All right, we have made it to the final three. Hopefully you're not disappointed. If you don't like these three covers I have picked out, then I don't know, let me know why, and let me know what you would have put in the top 3 spot, or just the top spot. So my third top book was actually my first pick when I filmed this yesterday. Upon looking at them a little bit closer, I was like, I just don't feel right giving this the top spot because I think the other ones are better, and I was just very personally attached to this one, and that is Outlawed. So what's working for me is, first of all, it looks like a Magritte painting, and I'm a huge fan of Magritte, which is why my bias pushed this up to the #1 spot. I love that like the face is missing, or not even the face, just the whole head is missing, but you can very much still see the outline of it. And then I also think that light blue and light pink just looks so good together. And not only is this cover stunning, this plot sounds so cool. I'm just gonna read the description because my words are not going to do it justice. Outlawed is the Crucible meets True Grit in this riveting adventure story of a fugitive girl, a mysterious gang of robbers, and their dangerous mission to transform the Wild West. Yeah. Then it says, in the year of our Lord, 1894, I became an outlaw. The day of her wedding, 17-year-old Ada's life looks good. She loves her husband, and she loves working as an apprentice to her mother, a respected midwife. But after a year of marriage and no pregnancy, in a town where barren women are routinely hanged as witches, her survival depends on leaving behind everything she knows. She joins up with notorious hole-in-the-wall gang, a band of outlaws led by a preacher-turned-robber, known to all as the Kid. The Kid is determined to create a safe haven for outcast women. But to make this dream a reality, the gang hatches a treacherous plan that may get them all killed. Featuring an irresistibly no-nonsense, courageous, and determined heroine, Outlawed dusts off the myth of the Old West and reignites the glimmering promise of the frontier with an entirely new set of feminist stakes. I am so excited for that book. Feminist cowboy Wild West book? Yes. Yes. One more time, yes! And luckily for me, this book comes out January 5th, 5 days before my birthday, so a little birthday treat for myself? Maybe so. Okay, the book in my number 2 spot is Firekeeper's Daughter. It just kind of looks like a tattoo, which I think is so cool, but everything is working so well. The overall symmetry, the colors, it's just doing it. It is doing it. Not only that, this is a young adult novel. Would you have guessed that based off the cover? Because I was actually really surprised. I kind of find that a lot of young adult covers follow a similar pattern, or like when you look at it, you just kind of know it's a young adult book. But I just think it's so interesting that this is very much, I don't know, I think maybe because it's just so unique and it doesn't follow those same kind of guidelines that most young adult covers do. It follows a native teen who is going through some personal family struggles. It says she's biracial and an unenrolled tribal member, which kind of leaves her feeling like an outcast everywhere. So it says the only kind of bright spot in her life at the moment is this new guy in town named Jamie, who is on her brother's hockey team. However, she kind of starts to realize that maybe everything's not what it seems. Maybe he's keeping some secrets. And then she witnesses a murder. And then from that, she kind of gets wrapped up in this criminal investigation. She's trying to help them solve it, and at some point she like goes undercover. So if you're interested in this as well, it comes out in March. Are you ready for my favorite cover of 2021? This one, when I saw it, just screamed at me, and that is The Project. I think this illustration is so cool. It's so cool. On that black background with the red, I think that would have been cool enough alone. But no, it goes even further with that kind of inner illustration on the side of her head of that cabin. The roof kind of pulls back in that red element. I just think this illustration is doing things. The project is about Lo, who has kind of been on her own her whole life. It says both of her parents have died and she's taking care of her aunt, and the only other person in her life is her sister B. However, B has become wrapped up in something called the Unity Project. The Unity Project does like community work and stuff of that nature. So it says they've kind of won the hearts and the minds of everyone in this town. However, Lo has seen kind of the darker side of this Unity Project. And basically, the Unity Project is a cult. This man shows up and claims that the Unity Project killed his son. Then she just kind of takes this and runs with it, hoping that if she can like solve this murder, that she can convince people, mainly even just her sister B, that this group isn't exactly what they seem. If, like me, you are a fan of cult novels, I think this is gonna be a super interesting one. Even if it disappoints, that cover does not disappoint, so it will be on my shelf. Guaranteed. The project comes out in February, so keep your eyes open for that. All right. That wraps it up. I hope you love those covers as much as I do. Ripley says if you don't think those covers are sexy, to seek medical attention immediately. I'm just joking, mainly. Art in general and cover art is so subjective. Everyone has their own personal taste. So if you hated all of these, I don't blame you, that's okay. But for me, these are the most beautiful covers of 2021 that I have seen. Like I mentioned at the beginning, If there's a cover that you thought should have been on my list, please let me know. And honestly, I thought about including like a worst cover of 2021 just for kicks and giggles. However, I actually didn't see any that really offended me. There were some that like didn't jump out, but none that were like, ugh, you know? So let me know what you think is the most beautiful cover of 2021, and if you have an ugliest cover, let me know. Thanks again for hanging out, and hopefully I'll see you next week.